strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it is in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Beth Williams is an investment advisor representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corp., a registered investment advisor. Megan Carney, Megan S. Carney PLLC, and Financial Arc Builders are not affiliated with USA Financial Securities Corp.
Welcome to Money Healing. I'm your co-host, Beth Williams.
And I'm your other co-host, Megan Carney. We're here to talk about money and our feelings related to it. I'm a psychologist who specializes in helping sensitive people.
And I'm a financial planner. We both talk to everyday people just like you about these topics.
Everyone's mental health and money health journeys are so different. And as unique as we all are, there are some common themes when it comes to how our emotions impact our money and vice versa.
And it's those common themes that we are going to be discussing together, both the themes themselves and some ideas from us about how to move forward and heal your relationship with money. In the next bit of episodes, Megan and I will be unpacking the various emotions and trauma themes that we've encountered within our observations over the last few years.
We discovered that people fell into one of two camps, one that knows their numbers and where they are financially, and those that don't know their numbers and where they are financially. We recommend that you go through the episodes and listen to the ones you believe may apply to you.
Megan and I are big advocates for getting collaborative support for both your mental health and your financial health journey. As you listen, we recommend that you pay attention to yourself, your reactions emotionally, and reach out to either a mental health professional and or a financial professional to help you deal with your relationship with money.
We'll begin by discussing I don't know my numbers and blank. Is there something that comes after that? Emotional themes we'll discuss within that will be fear, avoidance. What happens if I lose or fail? Shame, guilt, and even domestic violence and abuse with the overarching theme of trauma.
We will then discuss I know my numbers and blank. Some of the emotional themes that we'll discuss within that will be hopelessness, fear, shame, embarrassment, burnout, never enough, feeling lost, undervalued, worry, and then we'll also deal with the overarching theme of trauma. Today, we're going to be dealing with I don't know my numbers and I don't know what I need.
Well, before we even get to that, let's get to why do we get to this point where we don't know what our numbers are and we don't know what we need? My experience was that we're either really intimidated by the numbers, the math. I can't do it. I'm not good at that. I didn't do good in math in school, whatever the excuses. And there's this emotional overwhelm piece, whether you're intimidated by the numbers or not, of what if I can figure all of this out, then what does that all mean? What do I do with that information once I have this answer about what I have and what my numbers are? I think it's a little bit of fear. And I also think that in my experience with people, there is just this autopilot that comes on for us in life where we're just doing the next thing. We're doing the thing that we think we're supposed to be doing and not necessarily taking a step back at what we actually want and what we actually need and our values and all of that good stuff to help us decide what do we even want to do moving forward, because that would inform what do we need for our money, right? And if you're just on autopilot moving forward, assuming things are going good enough, then you're probably not worried about looking at your numbers at all because you're oh, well, things are fine for what's going on right now, so we're good.
I think for me, when I'm talking with clients and they don't know their numbers and they don't know where they're at financially and they don't know what they need, it usually falls into one of three categories. Usually it's because we haven't taken a look at what it is that our values are, and we're letting money decide and dictate what it is that we do or what we don't do.
I love that phrase. We're letting money decide what we do or don't do.
Yeah, and often it seems like everybody limits themselves. I don't want to say limits themselves on purpose. That's not really it either. But if we're just letting money be the driver, then any path will get you there, kind of thing. And when we stop and really realize, do we want the big house? Do we want the expensive car? Do we want the, $10,000 closet, whatever it is? And we don't stop and go, is this actually what I put any value to? Then we're just letting money decide what we're doing.
Right. And I'm thinking about like being in the workforce too, right? Like if you're employed by somebody else and you have all of this money, but like you don't really have an idea of what you want to use it for. It's like, are you working yourself to the bone for no reason then? You're just doing it for the money and the money's not even doing anything for you?
I usually hear from people that like we feel like we don't know what we need because we haven't looked at our values. But then it's also like we don't know where to begin. The I don't know where to begin. It was a quote in the book Middlesex that I read recently. Great novel. And I don't know, it just struck me. And the quote was, to be happy, you have to find variety in repetition. And I really loved that from a financial standpoint because which was not what he was trying to say at all. But I really loved that because it was like putting, $20 or $10 or $50 or whatever it is doesn't feel sexy. It doesn't like strike a conversation about how smart you are. It doesn't seem like it's better than the next person, but it really starts to build into just the repetition, and it's really never too late to start. Even if it's just a small amount, it's at least something. And so it was really funny when I read that quote because it was like there's so much repetition in just putting it in and letting it go and sticking it aside, and yet it's super boring and it's not sexy at all. There's a lot of happiness within that as you continue to be diligent to that. So I really think it's never too late to begin.
You might be quoting books, but I'm quoting like Disney, and I'm thinking, just take the next right step, right? Just like Anna and Frozen, take the next right step, do the next right thing, the next best thing that you can do. You're talking about repetition, right? And once you repeat something enough, it just becomes habit. You don't have to think about it so much anymore, and it is so much easier and takes a little bit of the mental load away.
And then the third thing that I would say is that most people, if I'm hearing, I don't know my numbers and I don't know what I need, it would fall into the camps of we don't know what to ask ourselves. The best money advice I've ever gotten was three different basically statements and questions. And the first one was, just because I can doesn't mean I should. And I think that yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom to it because you just because you can afford a bigger home or just because you can afford the nicer car or the better closet, it doesn't mean that you should. And is that really what we're trying to put any value to? And then the other thing is, I love this question. If no one ever saw what I was about to buy, would I buy it? It's like cars being a perfect example. I hate cars. I would rent cars all the time because I just hate them so much.
Feeling this Detroiter's heart.
I hate cars. I just really do. And I drive a beater car. I own it and I can pay for the maintenance and whatever, but it's a beater car. Somebody stole the emblems off of it like a decade ago or something. And I don't care. And if no one ever saw it, I would definitely never replace it. But I get people that make fun of me all the time. They're like, "Can't you afford a nicer car?" I'm like, but if nobody ever saw it, I would never replace my car because I don't care.
Mhm.
And that's one of the pressures I think that we put on each other as society is like, can't you afford a nicer car? Well, yeah, I can, but do I want it? No, not at all. I would rather go to the dentist and pull out all of my teeth. Um, I hate car shopping. So that's another good one. So again, like just because I can doesn't mean that I should. If no one sees what I'm about to buy, would I buy it? And then the third question is, are you just bored? And that one falls into like if you're trying to renovate your house or you're trying to update your house. I hear this a lot from people who are like, I just need to update my kitchen or I need to change it or whatever. Is
Mhm.
it just because you're bored by looking at it? Or is it because it actually needs to be done? And no judgment. If you decide, you know what, I am bored and I want to do that, that's fine. But I think that having a reality check about what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it really is quite key. So, again, I think that oftentimes it's just because we don't know what to ask ourselves. So, Megan, we've got all of these different emotional issues that come up. And I guess I'm hearing a lot of different pieces about what we should do to address those. So, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is like if you have a case of the shoulds, right? Like I should do this, or I should spend my money on this, or I should want this, or I should try to earn all this money, right? I think there's a really important piece here in figuring out what we talked about in one of our previous episodes with the values. If you did not listen to that episode and you're like, what are these girls talking about? Please go back and listen. Because when we have the shoulds, we're considering everyone else's values, what everyone else is saying is important. Maybe some values that were passed down to us from family members or friends or other people in our lives, or values that feel like they've been pushed on us from society. And we have to really figure out for ourselves, what do we like really need for basic needs, and what do we really value? Because when we're figuring out what we value, we're also figuring out what we want. And if that feels really intimidating or overwhelming, I want people to know that your values can change, right? They can feel like one thing right now. And as you grow, because you're human, you might find that some things shift for you. They might stay the same your whole life. That's possible. And things might shift, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're making the wrong decisions now, because you're doing exactly what we said earlier, right? Just doing that next right thing, because you're not going to get to that other place if you don't do that first right thing. And then looking at the numbers and having that feeling intimidating or overwhelming for you. I know as an entrepreneur, as somebody who went through, did their whole PhD, had to take a bunch of stats classes and stuff, like I felt confident about numbers and yet somehow did not feel confident about like accounting type of numbers, budgeting type of numbers. How do I even set a budget? And step number one is just paying attention to what's going on. Just looking at what's going out and what's coming in. That is the very crucial first step of setting a budget in my eyes, because if you can't even look at what you're spending your money on and what's coming in for you, then no, you can't set a budget, right? You can't say, well, I've been spending this and that feels a certain way, right? It feels like not enough, or it feels like I'm overspending, or I'd rather be spending some money on something else. you have to look at those numbers of what's going out and what's coming in to help you notice those feelings and make some changes. And you don't have to make them all right away. And they don't have to be big. We just need to start somewhere.
Which really just leads us into the next episode. So our next episode's gonna be, I don't know my numbers and I overspend. So we're dealing with avoidance. I don't know how to budget, and some of the feelings are fear, and I get myself into trouble, and that's what we're going to be unpacking. So that's a perfect segue.
It's like I knew it was happening.